Hello and welcome back to the Out of Spec podcast. I'm your host, Francie, and you are lucky enough today, as am I, to be joined by three of our teammates, Jordan, Coleton, and Kyle. Thanks, everyone, for hopping on the pod. We have some fun things to talk about today. How are y'all doing?
Good.
I'm not convinced. Have you guys had an exciting day?
You guys don't seem cyber-struck enough about what happened today.
I think we're just drained. We've been interacting with people for hours and hours and hours at all these events.
Yeah, I bet that social battery is approaching a pretty low state of charge by now.
No, never runs out. I love it.
Good. So yeah, Coleton, Kyle, where are y'all? What have you been doing today?
We're in Austin, Texas, and we went to the Cybertruck delivery event, and man, was it cool.
Yeah, everyone seems to be hating on the Cybertruck right now and the event and how lame it is. We had the complete opposite experience, and normally we're the ones who are really hard on Tesla. We're not Tesla fanboys. We call them out on all their BS. And here we are saying this was freaking awesome. We met with the engineers. We learned so much about the truck. It met my expectations. And all the Tesla fans are too expensive, all these things. They're just so let down. But that's what happens when you trust a company and believe every word they say. And, you just get totally let down.
Yeah, I think that's one point that I've already seen so far is where's all the criticism on the Cybertruck? They didn't do what they said that they would do in 2019, and I never thought that they would match those.
That was impossible. Yeah,
it would be impossible, and we haven't seen like we were kind of saying on the podcast we did earlier, just covering the live stream. But I didn't expect them to come out with some incredible new technology that would get them the cheaper EV with the better range and the better battery chemistry at XYZ.
Yeah, here's the thing. In 2019, we were skeptical, and then a pandemic happened. So, there was a lot going against them for, things to happen in line with what they said. So they almost shot themselves in the foot putting any numbers back when they unveiled it. But I get it. They had to say something. But for what we see now, I mean, at least they're delivering a product, and it's not just because a lot of people were saying it's not real.
Well, the process Tesla went through to design, develop, and produce the Cybertruck isn't unlike their other products or unlike other companies. They came up with their design intent goals for the vehicle and what they wanted it to do, and then they went through the engineering process. The only problem is they told everyone on day one what their goals were, which most automakers wait until they're let's get ready for series production, and then we introduce it to the market to see how it's going. And, it was cool to see what they wanted to do, but they, and much to Tesla's discredit, pitched it as, here's what we are going to do. It will be priced as this. And we know, I think, well enough because we've been burned by them and other companies. It's not just Tesla so many times that until it reaches series production, it doesn't exist. It's not fact. And that's the stance I've taken for Out of Spec since the beginning, which is unless someone can drive it and buy it, which they did today, it doesn't exist. And I think us taking that approach maybe actually set us up for my expectations were more than met. Let's just put it that way. I was not expecting much. I think a lot of the other folks attending the event, just based on our impressions, were expecting everything and more that was promised in 2019. And maybe that's why we're so pleased about it, because we're in our realistic world, it kind of did what we wanted to do. So in this episode, I thought it'd be cool if Coleton and I shared what we went through today from start to finish.
Right, because, anyone can tune in or could have and can still look at the live stream, but y'all were actually there at this event in Austin, Texas. So that's what, we really want to dive into today is what it was like to be there. What were we not able to experience in the live stream? So where did it start? Y'all arrive in Austin, Texas. What happened?
We rented a Tesla Model 3. Also, the live stream was so lame compared to everything we did. We had so much fun. We were nerding out with people all day. And the live stream was oh, I'm glad. But the live stream, that was the worst part of our day, was totally watching the presentation. We just stood in the corner what was going on here? This sucks.
Okay, so you get your Model 3 and you go to the event. What happens from there? Where exactly is it happening? What is the setup like? What part of the world of Tesla are you in?
Yeah, so we were, of course, at the Gigafactory of Texas, and we roll up. Of course, went to the wrong entrance. First off, we didn't even sort of look at. Oh, yeah, we need to go over there. So, security people were awesome. Everybody today at Tesla was just incredible. The nicest people. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. Like a really kind experience to go into, but
which I wouldn't expect from them because normally they're not don't give the impression that they're warm and welcoming.
Sure.
Tesla's always walled. There's no PR response. There's no one we can ever reach out to at the company. And it just feels very cold and distant. But then meeting the people who worked for Tesla, even on the security team, was like, oh, hey, we love your stuff. Like, you got to go that way. It was like so cool.
That's nice. Okay, so warm welcome after finding your way inside the building. And then where were they ushering you to?
Yeah, so first off, we went through just the most massive parking lot I've ever been to. I've never been to this, factory at all. So this was a new experience for me. Kyle's been here, of course, but it was well laid out. So you go through a little queue, make sure you don't have firearms and bombs and things like that on you. You check your actual ticket, your ID. Very streamlined situation going on there. We arrived quite late, actually. Kyle was delayed coming out of O'Hare. I was on time waiting for him at the airport here in Austin. Got in there, and we actually, what's that?
Good job, Coleton.
Oh,
Being
yes.
on time.
Yeah, Southwest one, by the way.
Well, Francie and I were on the same flight this morning trying to get out of, where the heck were we?
We were in Columbus, Ohio, leaving from the Charon event from Cleveland, and it was a bit hard, but United they got us out of there. But okay, before you continue on, I'm trying to picture where this is because I've been to a couple automaker campuses lately, and they're giant. So where is this in terms of Austin, and how? I mean, is it secluded? Where is it?
Yeah, I mean, it was 10 minutes away from the airport?
Yeah, it's out of the city a bit.
Yeah.
And so it's near the airport. I mean, anyone can obviously look where it is on a map, but it's in its own little bubble. They're building roads all around to totally expand this. And it's kind of so much construction. And it's been so much construction since I've come here, over the years following the construction. Jordan's been here, of course. So
traffic is so bad during the shift change at the factory. And I wanted to ask, was there anyone waiting outside who didn't have tickets and they were hoping to somehow score some?
No, we didn't see anything like that
at all. Because it seemed like they had so many little checkpoints of hey, you need to show your badge here, go through that situation, get to the next gate. Hey, let me see your badge again. So I don't think, I think Andreas even tried to get up close. Of course, our friend from Germany, the best guy ever. And he was trying to get up close and he's like, yeah, I give up. So he went to a live stream event. But one cool thing I did notice during kind of the queuing to get on the shuttle to go around the actual factory, they had a ton of students there, which I thought was really neat for them to bring in locals from the community, especially students learning about how Tesla's doing all their stuff. Had a huge bus of them, and that was really, really cool to see. And then, we went around the factory. They dropped us off right at the front. You can see we posted a ton of photos from that area. No Cybertrucks out there.
Not when we first got there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was that entrance. The new entrance for the factory is epic. It's so cool.
Yeah. Really, really nicely done. Open the doors, huge Cybertruck logo on the back end. Basically, a Cybertruck exploded inside. Then we saw things like the battery pack with the seats mounted on it, the drive motors. I believe it was a front.
It was a front motor, but we're not sure of what configuration.
Right.
Because there's two different front motors.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Save that we'll have a whole podcast coming soon on the intricacies of the battery pack voltages and, drive line coming soon.
In terms of, I just had this question kind of pop up, but especially when you mentioned they invited local communities and, students and stuff, that's really cool. But in terms of the exclusivity of this event, of course, you had to kind of be invited or you could purchase an option. But also, so how exclusive did it? No,
with
y'all
money.
didn't. No.
You had these referrals.
Yes. And so how, in terms of exclusivity, did it feel more inclusive? I know you're being greeted on the way in, but how does that play into this kind of event, giving out invitations rather than having it more open to the public?
Tesla's always done it this way, in my impression. It didn't seem unusual. It seemed like a lot fewer number of people than I expected, actually.
Yeah,
it was pretty intimate. I mean, maybe only a couple hundred at the most. I mean, it really didn't seem like very many people were in there. Maybe I'm gauging wrong, but there was just so much excess room.
So much room
everywhere. I'm like, well, you could have at least triple the people in this thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, not sure what that was about, but it was cool, and it felt we really the thing is everyone that was in there was either like super fan shareholder level. So like you had those crowd. I don't know any of those people,
right?
And they don't really know us, so we didn't really talk to anyone. But then like all the content creators. Yes. So you had like Dan from What's Inside, and Zach from Jerry Rig Everything, and there was Kim Java, and there was Justin Bearded Tesla Guy, and there was I don't know who, Joy, and all the people we normally see. So it was like a little reunion of like all the YouTubers together, which was great. And then there was like no one else than employees, a ton of employees, yes. Engineering folks, end of line, factory workers. There must have been one employee to one guest. I mean,
definitely.
It was really just almost like it felt like a big internal celebration.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I would guess so too, after so many years of, from the announcement to this day. So, okay, continue on your path. You've come in, you see this drivetrain, deconstructed in front of you. What happens next?
Yeah, so then we walk through a few doorways, and we're immediately at basically the Cybertruck assembly line, where you start seeing, actually off to the side there was the finishing of the Model Y, final inspection point, and then off to the right there was Cybertruck.
This is what we were looking at. Where am I trying to go here? As we were walking in. So basically you can see they got some pimped out golf carts. Nice. And then this is the Cybertruck line. Sorry for the poor quality. And then to the left is the final Model Y line right over there. What are you drinking, Coleton? Oh, some water.
Agua.
I was like, oh boy.
Not a little Tesla flask or anything. Okay, wow, cool really cool.
They had all of these sort of stages of the production line. So it's almost like they've had the trucks sort of running in series production, and then they stopped everything for the event because you can't have trucks flying around. But they kept each station running.
And like a demo mode. So for example, like they were putting in the front glass, the whole front windscreen in there, and it would kind of, do its situation like it would be putting on, the adhesive to actually mount the windshield in there, and it would kind of spin it around. Yeah, this is super cool. But it wouldn't actually touch the actual vehicle. It was just showing, what they would represent here.
Oh.
Yeah, so each station they had like a mock tire mounting station, and they had where the front casting gets put in and all of the things. It was really kind of a cool, neat experience for sure. And we're just like walking down the factory line with a bunch of people looking at each station, and it was just so cool. And what the coolest part about all of this was at each station, they had the people who worked on that component of the Cybertruck there for us to talk to. So, for example, we came by the powertrain station, and you can see there's the rear motor out of the beast mode truck, the induction dual motor system, and there's like one of the engineers who worked on the project, and like we could just talk to him. And it was so cool. So we were just like talking to people about the truck. We met the dude who like worked on the front trunk assembly and like all these things, and they were just so proud to share their work.
Yeah, I was mostly surprised about how, everybody, of course, there has cameras out. Like, you're up close to these things. You could touch and feel pretty much everything they're working on there. Like, they were just kind of an open book, which I was really shocked about.
Yeah, normally Tesla's closed down, but they honestly tried to answer every question we had, which I did not expect at all.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to get here today. There was going to be no video. We weren't going to learn anything. We weren't going to ride in one. We didn't ride in one. But I just thought it was going to be kind of a little bit of a waste of time. But either way, we would see our friends and viewers and stuff like that. So it's a good social thing. But no, we really learned so much about the truck that was not shared in the presentation.
And I know, of course, Kyle, you have an eye for detail, but Coleton, you really have an eye for the detailing. And did you see anything? I don't want to skip ahead in your storyline, but like, what were you looking for as you were walking through this? Like, were you specifically looking out for anything where you're just like, all the information I can get, let me have it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the cool things we were able to see was like basically the vehicles without all of the body panels on it. For example, we got to see where the, this is pretty cool, a little bit down the line here, but this is where they roll through, I guess, final assembly, check over the vehicles. What I thought was really, really neat though was like basically you'd see a Cybertruck over here on the line, had no rear panels on it, and you could see where actually, the full tonneau cover goes in and see how everything's packaged underneath that basically stainless steel skin. And it was like, wow, this is really cool to see.
It was so cool.
I'm sure y'all are wiped. That's a long day and a long day of travel to get there. And you say it was worth it though. Okay, so continue on, please. So you're seeing the assembly line. They're really giving you insight into like these are being built. This is how they're being built, and here are the experts that made this happen, which is great. And we're gonna like you said, Kyle, dive into all of those lovely details on another podcast about all the inner workings. So okay, keep walking. Basically.
Yeah, honestly, it was kind of cool because you got to see them without panels on, and then slowly you'd go to the next section they're putting on the front. Then we got to another station where they actually have a machine grabbing the tires, putting it on the actual vehicle. And then, towards the end when we were showing basically that final inspection, they had, 10 of them sitting there, some on lifts. It was just like the coolest thing to see these things. And in all honesty, this was the first time I've ever seen a Cybertruck in person. I kind of purposely didn't go to the Littleton one, kind of expecting we're going to go to this event after we decided to. Yeah, this is just so cool to see. All the lighting in there. The factory was like really nicely lit, the pink Tesla logos, the bright blue colors underneath the Cybertruck. It was really, really neat.
Very, very cool.
That helps. The Cybertruck's just, refrigerator color, and so all the other colors kind of help.
Basically, they had the presentation at the end of line.
Right.
So you walk down the whole production line, and then at the end where the deliveries were happening, someone said they delivered 20. I thought it was 10.
Yeah, it kind of seemed more like in that 10 span there.
Yeah, but whatever. We actually, Coleton and I thought, what if this is fake? Because we didn't actually see anyone sign paperwork. But then later on that day, we saw a privately owned Cybertruck come to the event. So they actually are out there. So that's kind of cool.
So some delivered at the event, some not?
I think the only ones that have been delivered have been from the event.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it looked like around 10. So basically they did the keynote, and then they brought up those customers who were taking delivery of it. They hopped in the vehicle and just kind of drove it off stage. And then they were kind of queued up to the side. And I'm kind of looking over there going, are they really taking delivery of these things?
Are they saying you can come back in a few weeks and take them?
Exactly.
But no, they let them go, and they sold them with the wheel covers on.
Yes. Yep.
So before we get to deliveries, like you said, you did have this keynote. So what was your impression of the keynote and quote unquote, the delivery of the information before actually they handed over the keys to the Cybertrucks?
I guess I'll take it first. I kind of thought it was a disaster. We literally couldn't see anything. We're up here with our phones 10 feet in the air trying to see anything. We're all kind of crammed in this rear space. And of course it was delayed. And, Elon gets up there and he gets in the bed of the Cybertruck. As you guys probably saw from the live stream, was his head is completely black in the actual video.
You couldn't see him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This was our view.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me
And I'm just I got my phone as high as I can reach. I don't know what the heck I'm filming, but I was at the end of the day,
dystopian.
It doesn't matter. People aren't going to watch our video for the presentation. That would have already been live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay. There he is. Yeah. I thought it was kind of funny that he was in the. Okay, it looks way brighter than it did on the live stream.
Oh,
yeah, well, that's just they should use iPhones.
Yeah.
Could not see it.
Yeah, it was very dark back there. I'm walking around, couldn't see anything back here, and it was really crammed in. But it was cool. Right in front of us, you had, Tesla engineering. I can see this guy with his, computer
laptop,
screen open, working on Cybertruck things. And it's whoa, you are right in the heart of it.
It was cool. Yeah. The coolest part was we didn't listen to the press. We just kind of saw what was going on. I was this is all kind of stupid. But whatever, not into the presentation, but just talking to the people in the crowd and seeing the engineering team being oh, that's my thing that I worked on. You're seeing the people who did the thing, and you just don't get that unless you're there. So that was cool. But yeah, damn, if I was watching this presentation at home, I would probably agree with everyone that like this was a total disaster and a flop. But being there was awesome.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, you get a totally different experience. You're there with the energy. You see how it's being put together. And I think it's really important that they had folks there that were a part of the team that made it happen, that you could talk to freely, which, I mean, I think that's invaluable, right? So they were there at the event. The event happened. The deliveries were made. What happens next? That's kind of what everyone could see on the live stream. But then...
Yeah, then everyone from the crowd just kind of got around these two Cybertrucks that were there, the display truck. So VIN number 2 and then another one. And I'm just trying to get some photos. They had a welder in the back of one plugged in, which was kind of cool.
Yeah,
So,
I saw that on the video too, that it's very construction oriented. You're really going to be able to use these trucks for utility.
well, that's what they're trying to convey. I'm not actually
Yes.
sure anyone's going to be using these on a Lightning is what will be used on construction sites. We saw, then we just started kind of hanging around these two trucks. Here's our friend Tesla Raj over here getting a thumbnail for his video and just, looking at the vehicles. I don't know, playing around. We're doing fingerprint testing. And we were just like hanging out. Our friend Brandon Tesla Flex and James, another one of our friends and friends of him who did the race to Vegas were there. So we're just like hanging out with friends chatting. And like we're there for probably an hour. And like everyone just slowly dissipates back because you have to exit where we came back through the factory. And then we look around and we're like the only ones left. Literally it. And we're like, okay. So then we had the entire factory to ourselves for as much time as we needed, really.
Yeah,
Really? They didn't say, hey, you got to get out of here?
There was like 2 security people that were assigned to like not let us move back, but to only move, in the exit direction. But they were not rushing us at all.
No, not at all. And I almost got to the point I felt bad, but they're just kind of like trailing behind us. But like we're going up to parts and just like touching them. I mean, Kyle even jumped in the back of a Cybertruck.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
On the production line.
Oh my God. This is giving me like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory,
Yes.
Charlie and his grandpa vibes, where they go off and they eat the bubble gum that makes them fly. Y'all were just able to go into the nooks and crannies of this at the end of the event.
Yeah, so
Which
we
I
were
love.
with
I
a
mean,
couple.
sometimes if you hang around.
Yeah, we were with a couple friends of ours, and we just like had the chance to have the whole factory to ourselves, which was super unique and gave us the time to capture the content we needed. There was this like totally release candidate shell of a truck, and we were just like playing around, jumping in it allegedly, and it was so much fun. It was super cool. So that was like probably the highlight of the whole thing, was just like, here's a factory.
Yeah, here you go. Don't go backwards, but you can keep exploring forwards. That's pretty cool. It seems like there was definitely an air of openness and embracing the curiosity of the guests at this event,
Yeah.
which is good for us if you're looking for the details.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we went out, and there was a bunch of people outside of the event.
Yeah, so
And-
where we previously came in, there were no Cybertrucks out there. Once we got to the outside, I think there were probably, 15, 20 sitting there. So this was a matte black one that was actually showcasing basically their PPF that they're going to be doing. So color changing PPF, whatever this may be, looked pretty nice in person.
Looked really good.
Yeah, really, really nice. Back here, you can kind of see some of their accessories that they actually did launch today as well.
Nice.
Which was,
This is one of my bingo.
Kyle made the comment, who's going to put this thing up? I hope it, scans over here. But this whole tent that goes on the back of it, like all of these little details, they were really cool to see all of these as well. They also had a few crash damage one that they actually, put into a wall. They had the one that they shot there.
Yeah.
All the Baja ones that they've had, way out in the deserts, all of those were there.
Yeah. So
Coleton, you're
here's,
looking at them and you're seeing like real versions of the Cybertruck. What did you think of the quality?
Yeah, I got to say, to be completely honest, totally blown away. I mean, all the pre-pro stuff we've seen, all the photos, I mean, you literally had panels that you could stick an entire finger through, which is kind of what we expect with Tesla, honestly.
yes.
Getting up close and personal to these things, they're pretty darn well put together. Like, I would have no complaints with it. I think there's some tolerances that they're definitely going to get figured out. Of course, when I, finally get to do a full build quality analysis, we'll go through all of that. But yeah, I got to say, honestly, just firsthand, up close and personal, very impressed. The stainless steel feels really nice, I would say. Looks really nice in person. Definitely a fingerprint magnet, though.
Jordan,
what's the way? What's the way to treat or prevent that or treat that? Like
We'll have a whole
all the time.
Yeah, honestly, I think for the first couple of years, you drive to Whole Foods with this thing, go up to a supercharger, people are going to be touching this thing. So I'm going to be doing all the testing. I've put in some phone calls to some companies that actually produce, like detailing chemicals, and see what they're recommending for it. Can we help in, kind of make some chemicals for that? Because honestly, I have no idea. This is a proprietary stainless steel that Tesla has created. I believe it to be part of their SpaceX program. But this is not like basic 304 stainless steel, 301. It seems like a very proprietary blend. And to me, it seems very, very high quality. But yeah, I'm curious to see how we're going to be able to actually clean these things. So that's going to be all the testing I'm going to be doing. And, Kyle's going to, of course, do all the range testing and charging and things like that.
Yeah, I think we should still be clear, just like our opinions on the truck, because that's most of what happened today is we don't know how it's going to work in the real world. It's still, we don't know what drive cycle they ran the range in. I was trying to explain this to everyone. It's like, we don't know we know the peak charging speed's rated at only 250 kilowatts. That doesn't seem very good. How is the curve? We're not sure. What is the efficiency while driving? What is the battery pack size? What's the deal with this range extender thing? All of these questions. But, if we look at the pricing for what you get, that is exactly in line with what I was thinking. There was no shock to me. And maybe that's why I think I feel like I've never felt like a Tesla fanboy before.
It was weird.
But it was weird. Today we were like the only positive ones on this thing. And I'm just like, you just ignore what they said 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, just pretend like that never happened. And this makes sense. It's got, dual lockers on the dual motor system. The tri-motor one seems cool. The steer by wire is at least interesting. Apparently it's really quiet. I spoke to some employees that have been driving and testing them. They're like e-tron quiet. I'm like, no way. And so that seems really cool, super cushy. And, there seems like a lot of good things, a lot of not great things. Like Silverado EV has way faster charging, way more range, way more battery capacity, all of these things. So it's not class leading. I don't think anything we saw today was really majorly class leading,
other than like a super crazy unique design.
Yeah, the design.
I mean, it was so funny. Kyle was very good about this. We'd walk up to a friend that we know and he goes, "So what'd you think?" And honestly, the people who would kind of walk up to you with their shoulders slumped, they're like, "I'm really disappointed." And we're like, "What are you talking about?" Like, this is 4 years later. The economy has totally changed. Everything's changed with this. Like, in my impression, the pricing they kind of laid out gives you a very cool range of, single motor, dual motor, and the beast mode one. And it seems, honestly, to me, reasonable and honestly less than I expected.
I just don't understand why Tesla would ever 4 years ago say they're going to do 500 miles, this price, these things. And that set them up for failure today. And I think Elon's going to do that. I think everyone had that vibe, which is like reality check. And I hope they never do that again. They did it with Roadster. And I think that's going to be a disappointment if you look at the original stuff based off of today. And so I think maybe I just totally ignored them so hard that I'm not even fazed by it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we were ready to be disappointed, but it does seem that some of this disappointment might come from the fact that Tesla didn't outright acknowledge that, we said all this stuff in 2019. Sorry, we couldn't meet it. But here's what we do have. That wasn't acknowledged in the presentation at all. It was just kind of like, one, omitting information along the way, but then two, like not really focusing on the specs that were the most important to people, I'd say, like, and just not acknowledging it. So do you think that kind of communication could have been useful in being like, well, look, let's be upfront about it. We've been working really hard on it. This is what we have. This is what we're proud of, but we couldn't meet those high goals that we, for some reason, told you about in 2019.
Well, it's like the entire presentation just left me annoyed because it's like, okay, you can drag race a 911 that they claim they bought at a dealer brand new, but it had Euro side markers, and a Porsche dealer cannot legally sell a car with those side markers.
They must have bought two because it was towing one of them.
Yeah, they didn't say what spec it was, but it was just a base Carrera, of course. Probably a Carrera 4. They probably got the slowest one. But they're like, okay, let's drag race that. Okay, cool. But they didn't. No details on the what is it? The tractor pull.
Yeah.
This was so funny. They're like, oh, it can outpull an F-350 diesel, but they had it on like the aero wheels and tire, like the Steelies, not the chunky all-terrains, to dig in and give grip. And like the F-350 ran out of traction. The Cybertruck's on these big honking all-terrains,
35s,
dug into the ground. So I'm like, put them all on the same wheel and tire. Like, what are you doing here? And the Rivian looked great, by the way. The Rivian looked better than the Cybertruck doing the pull. That thing was freaking digging. And so I'm not convinced that was properly done. And there was one more. Oh yeah, the bullet testing stuff. They didn't really like explain at what type of firearm, what type of ammunition. Did they?
Yeah, so in like the bottom left corner. Again, it was very.
But it was just one. They didn't show multiple. Right?
It was like you could see the rounds change what the actual gun was. It was very hard to see where we were sitting. I did see that very quickly.
Then that's cool.
Yes.
I want to shoot I don't have a reservation for a Cybertruck. I never have. Everyone's like, are you going to get yours? I'm like, I didn't reserve one. I thought this thing was stupid when it came out. What are you talking about? But now I have
get one and shoot it.
I was saying, you're in the opposite boat. Everyone wants to get rid of the reservation. They're like, please take mine now.
Great, because I just felt like I was being lied to when it first came out, and obviously we were. And now that we know like legit what it is, I'm like, oh, okay, just you could have told me that in the first place, and I'm cool with that. It's realistic, but I want to shoot the crap out of my Cybertruck.
So I want to pose a question to this: if Tesla 4 years ago had launched this car of saying this is what we're intending to build, and they have given no specs, how do you think this would have been received today?
Don't know. Much better.
Yeah, I think so too, based on the other offerings that are out there, that we know the kind of EV trucks that are being made today. And then it wouldn't have been such a, I don't know. I think people were maybe like really hopeful that Tesla would just really pull something crazy out of here. When it's like, no, they're working with what the whole rest of the world has.
Well, they did some crazy weird things. The induction rear unit, not 100% on that, and the range extender.
Yeah, the range extender.
I wouldn't be surprised if that never comes to market. I feel like I'm being lied to with that.
Yeah,
that makes no sense.
Kitchen all over again.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it's like a cat
there you
kitchen.
go.
They might deliver one. I don't know. That seems pretty dumb. And you have to go to the service center to install it.
Well, some people were saying, like, do you think this is something you can buy and ship to your house and install? I'm like, these are high voltage things you're having to plug in. And I'm like, no.
And it's 40 to 50 kilowatt hours.
That's going to be not cheap.
It's going to be 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, take up space in the trunk, right?
Well, so there's 1,000 pounds of your payload right there.
Yeah. Good point.
And then reduction of tongue weight while towing. So maybe you actually can't do 11,000 pounds with that in the bed, depending on the tongue weight calculation.
I thought it was funny how they did talk about the rear wheel steering, and they're like, a lot of people compare their turning radius to another competitor, and they were like, this is better than our own sedan.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Rear steer didn't look that crazy to me. So the one they had at the after party, they had full wheel on the front cranked, and the rear wheel did not look, I mean, it's nowhere near like Hummer EV, EQS, EQEs. But I mean, it looks maneuverable.
Yeah, it looked like 5 to 7 degrees.
Yeah, totally. Would agree.
So you've walked through, you've eaten the gobstoppers, and then you go to this after party event. Okay, so tell me about this.
Oh, where do we start with that?
It was great. I don't know how we don't know much about it. We just showed up.
Yeah.
You just show up. Is it like how Cybertruck oriented is it, or is it just mostly a social event for those who came to be able to speak to each other more, kind of reflect on it?
Yeah, put on by the Tesla Owners Club of Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Really nicely done event. You got like wristbands and stuff, all official. So that was cool. And yeah, our friend Ryan from the Kilowatts was there, greeted us, handed us wristbands, took us in the back entrance, and then we just talked to people for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And then again, just the same impression from people that's kind of like, mwah.
Generally, no one was excited about it. And this is like the most hardcore Tesla fan base on the planet. And then what's so funny is like, I'm pretty excited about it. And then I see some journalists now saying it actually looks better in person than, and so now is it going to like flip? Are the Tesla people going to hate it? No, I don't know. But yeah, man, I cannot believe my biggest shock is how many people believed what Tesla said in 2019. I think maybe we were just in the crowd of like hardcore Tesla believers and they were just all let down. I don't know if we fall into a category, but I did not trust them at all on anything they said. And that seems to have worked out. I don't know I keep reiterating that, but it was just such a shock to see the most hardcore Tesla fans that we know and friends. I mean, I can be friends with someone who is just like Tesla or nothing, even though I don't necessarily agree with them all the time. It's like weird to see our friends like so down on something that we're like
weird,
pumped up about.
Well, it was weird. So like after basically the keynote stopped, Kyle would go up. So what do you think? It would be, I can't believe how expensive it is. I can't believe how little range it has. But did you see it beat a 911? And did you see it outpulled an F350? And then you have Kyle going over here like base model, not all on the same wheel. So it's like, it was so interesting to see what people pick up and like really care about, and then what they're just completely disappointed about.
Absolutely. Yeah. The people do not notice technical details. I'll tell you that much.
No.
Even the people there, they were like, oh, it pulled a 911 and beat the 911. It's like, okay. And like, but was the 911 launched properly? Like it almost looked like the 911 was starting to gain.
Probably a manual.
Yeah. Well, you can't get a base manual, but yeah. And I was just like, okay. But and then like the tractor pull was what everyone started screaming at. But all I could think about was you just used a single rear wheel, no weight in the bed, F350 diesel. And like that is not a vehicle set up to do a tractor pull. Like use a real vehicle to do a tractor pull against that. Rivian looked freaking awesome. I can't get over that
thing. So from this like whole event in your takeaway, what are you seeing as something from the Cybertruck or from Tesla that you think will be carried into the EV truck space? Or like, how do you think this will change the future of EV trucks in general, if at all?
I don't think at all.
I think everyone's sleeping easy at all the other automakers. I think the general perception is like, wow, Tesla really under-delivered on this. That's the general worldwide perception. And, you get almost more range and more things for the money with Rivian, with Ford, and people are, I think everyone at those companies, I saw a post from, I think it was Jerry Rig Everything posted and said, that everyone at those companies are sleeping nice tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, not a huge splash.
I mean, even here at the restaurant, right? we're in Austin. This is Tesla's headquarters are right down the street. We can almost see it from here. And we were talking to the bartender and he's like, oh, what brings you to town? I'm like, we were here to see the Cybertruck. He's like, that is the ugliest piece of what.
Yeah, for
real. He's like, the engineers have been here for months working on it.
You're showing us photos of like, oh, this one was in the parking lot a few weeks ago. And
this is like the hotel the Tesla people come to. And he's like, that thing is stupid.
Well, it's like, I think no one's cross-shopping this with like a Lightning. Like it's just a whole different crowd. And it on one hand, it might pull some people in who have never even thought about a truck before because they're like, oh, that's weird and quirky. And yeah, I'll take that. But it's hard to think about the comparisons with the other existing automakers because this is so left field, and I'm here for it because of that. But it's wild.
I'll tell you what. After today, I just want a tri-motor one. Yeah, sign me up for one of those bad boys.
Yep.
Because like from a content standpoint, it's YouTube gold.
Yeah.
So even as a personal truck owner thing, if it can just charge without overheating, count me in.
Yeah.
Because my Rivian overheats like crazy.
Yep.
Just yesterday, it stopped charging. It got so hot. I mean, Francie, you were in the car with me. It literally battery pack hit max limit, and then it just went to 0.6 kilowatts until it cooled off.
Sure did. Yeah. Definitely. I feel like there's more to see in the EV truck space, but that this is just, the first truck offering from Tesla. Interesting to see how like the event went and the overall takeaways and the disappointment. I think that's kind of Curious, but glad y'all were there to spread some rays of sunshine. It's fun to have us all back together on the pod. Last time we were together, we were in the LA driving around. So I think it's really fun to get us all together. And what?
In M3.
In the M3, yeah.
Not a Model 3. Jordan's not being one of those people. We were in an actual BMW M3.
Exactly. Yeah. So what's next for y'all in Austin, Texas?
Sleep and go home.
Yeah, gotta go to Ohio. Back to Ohio for me.
Back to Ohio. So was it worth it? Was it worth it to go to in person to this event, or should you just have live streamed?
I think if I had watched this remotely, I would have been making fun of Tesla so hard.
Totally
I've been like, what a failure, absolute BS. This was a terrible presentation. Product doesn't look great, all these things. Seeing it in person, meeting the people, understanding the product, watching them move, invaluable experience from my side to be able to come to this.
Yep.
To see the baseball thrown live.
Didn't actually see that.
That was lame.
Okay.
In person too. It sounded like a rubber ball.
So I haven't watched the presentation. They didn't throw a steel ball at it.
It was a
baseball.
It's a baseball. And so we at first thought they threw it into like an open window. Like you couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
And it just like disappeared. And so they threw it again and it hit the glass. And yeah, like barely, like he just like lightly tossed a baseball and it bounced off the glass and everyone cheered.
Yeah.
Why?
In person, it literally sounded like a bouncy ball. Like he just like threw it and it just like launched the other way. And I'm like, okay. That's
Well, the initial one was everyone went, and I thought that they threw a steel ball at it and cracked the window again.
No, he missed it because he actually hit the stainless steel part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's lame. What happened to the ball?
I don't know. It's yeah. So I want to get a ball. Oh,
What's
our
going
camera
on?
froze. I want to get a ball and see how it handles a steel ball now.
Good
Well,
luck.
we're going to get one. We're going to absolutely test it to its limits. We'll go from the least aggressive to most aggressive testing. And then we'll give
Yeah,
it back to
Kyle.
the kind viewer who lent it to us.
Any leads on who that might be yet?
We had so many offers today, but whoever gets one
Have
first,
fun.
please,
Okay.
we really won't intentionally destroy the truck if you don't want us to.
But if you want bullet dings in the side, I mean, we have a lot of connections with the fire. You know, we have options.
Well, y'all
We
know
got,
I was
we got options.
state championship trap shooting in high school
Wow.
right here. So anyways, yeah, well, it sounds like a fun, busy, long day with the Cybertruck. So thanks for giving us insight to what it was actually like to be there in person. And seems like you enjoyed it, got to speak to a lot of people and really get the impressions of it in person, live, and of course see it. So it'll be cool to dive into what y'all saw, all the specs that we are like kind of still waiting for in some cases, but to get in all those details in other podcasts. So hope y'all can rest up, have a nice travel day. But yeah, thanks for hopping on the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thanks everyone for tuning in to the Out of Spec podcast. We will see you next time.
Cheers.